everyone, it's Clara. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be filming a physical TBR video. If you don't know what that is, it's basically a kind of trend that's been going around on BookTube where you basically try to guess how many unread books you have in your collection, on your bookshelves, and then you go through every shelf, you count them, you take them out, and you see how much of your collection is books you've actually read. So in terms of my different genres, I think I don't have a lot of unread books for fantasy because I think I get through those pretty quickly. I do, however, probably have a lot of unread classics because I buy those probably at a faster rate than I actually read them. So I anticipate that classics is gonna have some of the most unread books, also nonfiction, similar one, because I am studying like biology for my university degree. So although I'm really interested in science, it's not often I reach for those books because I'm usually doing that in my day-to-day life studying. So like I usually want something to escape. So I usually want the classic or fantasy. But yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. I'm basically just gonna go through each shelf and take out all the books I haven't read and count them. My estimate for unread books is probably gonna be 35. I don't know whether that's gonna be accurate. I was gonna guess 25 before, but I think that's gonna be too low. I don't think I have too many unread books, to be honest, compared to like some other videos I've seen where it's like some crazy amount, like 80% of their books are unread. But I still think there's gonna be a lot. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and let's get into it. Okay, so welcome to my first shelf. This is basically all classics, mostly like special editions and just like, yeah, my like collectible editions. I think there's gonna be a lot of unread books on this shelf, mainly because literally like this whole stack is unread. These are mainly like these like old vintage Penguin classics that I collect, that I like buy from random secondhand shops, garage sales, etc. So this whole stack is unread, except for this book at the bottom, which is an anthology of like Christmas stories. So I haven't read all of that, but I'm not gonna count it because I've read some of it. So yeah, I'm gonna take out this whole first stack, except for the first one. So yeah, as I said, these are mainly my old Penguin classics that I collect. So I'm gonna count those and put the tally on this. Actually, no, wait, I'm gonna do my whole shelf. So we have these books, all unread. I don't know, there's probably like 10 here. Oh, and this little Penguin English cloth bound that's like new. So all of these are unread. And then I have these like poetry anthology volumes, which are also secondhand, bought at a bookstore in the Netherlands. And yeah, I haven't read these, so I guess I'm gonna count them. I mean, I think I've read like a few poems from each volume, but I don't think I'm gonna count them because I haven't like, I mean, I am gonna count them as unread because I haven't extensively like really read them. So those are also unread. Then I have this book of Sherlock's home cases. I have read a couple of these. Well, I can actually see how many I've read. I've read two of these, but I'm not gonna actually count this because I think if I've read like at least a couple, that's fine. I have read the Odyssey. I haven't read Ovid's Metamorphosis. I've had this for quite a long time. This was a birthday gift also. And yeah, I don't know, it's just very daunting. I mean, it's really long and I'm just not that familiar with like epic poetry. I mean, as I want to be. So anyway, yeah, this one also unread. Then I have like William Shakespeare's sonnets. I'm not gonna count those because I've read a few of them. I think I even tried to annotate a few of them, so I won't count that. And I have another cloth-bound classic, which is Monkey King. So that's unread. I have The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett, also unread. And then the rest of them are all read. So I'm gonna count up the tally for this shelf and put it on the screen. It's already seeming like a lot, so rip. Okay, so the tally for the first one was literally 16. So I'm definitely gonna be super wrong about my guess, but that's fine, we move. So we're gonna continue with the classics trend, just because why not? So I have definitely a few new ones here. So these are like new books I bought really recently, which is mostly like medieval literature, mythology from like different countries. So I have these three Penguin classics. Oh, actually this one isn't, sorry. Some Norse mythology, also some Norse mythology, and some German like medieval epic poetry. I think it's epic poetry. So those are unread, those are new. Then I have Dr. Zhivago. This is a really long classic and it sounds pretty depressing. And I read a really long classic at the beginning of the year, so probably won't get to this anytime soon. Then the rest of some of my Black Penguin classics. I have this Russian poetry anthology. I'm not gonna count it, I haven't read the whole thing, but I have read a few poems, tried to annotate a few, so I'm gonna count that as a good enough try. And then I have these two, which are Notes from Underground and The Double, haven't read this. And also The Republic by Plato. Classic philosophy, haven't gotten into this yet. So, those ones. Okay, already I definitely have so many unread books. This is so embarrassing. I guessed like super wrong. Okay, then I have a French book, which is by the same author who wrote Phantom of the Opera. I speak good enough French, not amazing French, but I haven't read this yet. This is The Mystery of the Yellow Room in English, but yeah, I have a French copy, so I haven't read that because, yeah, I always say I'm gonna read in French and then I don't, so. Okay, and then I have like my whole Penguin English Library collection. I love these books. I've actually read a lot of these. Ooh, everything is falling over. This is turning into chaos. But, okay, I've read this. I've read most of these, to be honest. So the ones I'm gonna count is this anthology of ghost stories, because I don't even know if I've read one. So it's definitely going there. And then I think all of these at the back are also unread. So those are all the ones I've read on this shelf. And then I have 5 of the Penguin English Library ones that I haven't read, which is 1984, North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell, Heart of Darkness. Oh, it's actually Mrs. Dalloway. Okay, I started Mrs. Dalloway. To be quite honest, I didn't like it, just from like, I don't know how many pages I read, 20 pages. However, I might give this another try, so I'll count it. Anyway, this is all the books I've read on the shelf. It's okay, but like, I think like still a lot. So I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 unread books on this bookcase. Once again, it's a lot of classics I think that are going to be unread. So, but I already think that I'm like over my guess, because if I've counted right and I have 12 books here, that means that I've already got 28 unread books. So this is not going in a great direction, in the sense that, yeah, I vastly underestimated just how many books I buy. So yeah, anyway, those are those two shelves. Let's move on to, I think, I don't know, some fantasy shelves, just to make myself feel better. So I said I'd move on to fantasy, but I lied. I'm just gonna do the last big classic shelf on this bookcase because, yeah, I don't know, it feels better. So most of these books are like multiple copies of the same book. So I love Alice in Wonderland, so I have like 5 copies of it. plus some poetry by Lewis Carroll. So none of those. This one is pretty new. This is 3 novels by Edith Wharton. So I haven't read any of these yet. Oh, I matched with it. So I haven't read any of these yet. So this is a big one. Then I have basically lots of Gothic classics. So I haven't read The Italian by Anne Radcliffe yet. So that's going there. But I've actually read all the other ones except, I mean, I have this collection of short stories by Bram Stoker. I read the first one, but that was like 12 pages, so I don't know where I'm going to count this. But actually, I'm not going to count this because I studied Dracula like really extensively in high school, and I did read Dracula's Guest, which is in this, so I won't count that. But there we go. We only have 2 books on this shelf actually, which is a giant relief. Although not a huge achievement considering these are all copies of the same book that I've read. Also several copies of Dracula. So yeah, 2 books for the shelf. So things are looking up. And I think we'll just move on to fantasy now. Like all these bottom shelves. It's gonna be hard to film. So I don't know how I'm gonna do that. But okay, so welcome to this big fantasy shelf. I think almost all of these are read. So I have a bunch of books by Stacey Halls. Sorry. Read all of those. Read all of these. These are like some of my favorite fantasy books. So I've read all of these except The Essex Servant. So I've had this book for like a long time. Bought it secondhand. I think my dad bought it for me actually secondhand. And it's historical fiction / mystery, I think. So yeah, this is the only unread book on this shelf, which is really nice. Yeah, I'm in the middle of this book, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, so I'm not going to count it either because, yeah, I'm going to finish that hopefully in a couple days. But yeah, so we have 1 book on the shelf. So moving on, next shelves are like on the bottom, so it's going to be hard for me to show you, but I will just say how many books are unread on each. So I have a bookshelf here. I'll insert clips with the numbers of unread books. I have a bookshelf here, which is basically all Robin Hobb books and Lord of the Rings, two sets of Lord of the Rings. So I've read Lord of the Rings, so those are all read. The only unread book on this shelf is Ships of Magic by Robin Hobb. So this is an epic fantasy series that I want to start this summer really soon. So yeah, it's just this one. The rest is 2 other series by Robin Hobb that I've read and Lord of the Rings like twice. So yeah, that's it for the shelf. Okay, and then similarly, I have a bookshelf on the bottom here. It's gonna be really hard to show while I'm talking, but I'll just like insert a clip with a number of unread books. But this one similarly, I think has a lot of my favorite fantasy books. So almost all of them are read just from first glance. I think one of them is unread once again. So the only one that I have not read is Winterwood by Shane Earnshaw. I've actually had this for a really long time. I tried to read it once, well, like 2 years, 3 years. Tried to read it once and I just wasn't in the mood because it's quite dark. And yeah, I've had it for ages now, it feels like. And it's the only unread book on this full shelf of like fantasy books. So I really don't know when I'm gonna get to this. I might just like declutter this book, sell it, or give it away soon because being realistic, I don't know. But anyway, that is one more. I think we're at like, guys, I'm writing this down. I think we're at like 33 books at the moment, which is so much already, and we haven't finished this shelf. There's like 1 more shelf. Wait, I can move the camera. I have 1 more shelf here, which is gonna have a couple unread. So yeah, things are not looking great because I still have a whole bookcase that way, but it's fine. It's fine. This is a reality check for me. So anyway, yeah, let's move on to this last shelf. Okay guys, welcome to my last, oh, sorry, this was here. Welcome to my last like major bookshelf on this big bookcase. I have to be careful not to hit my head because I'm like under the roof right now. Basically, this is a shelf of mainly like sci-fi classics, adventure classics. There is some middle grade on here, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, let's get into it. So this first book that I was holding was a recent early birthday gift, and this is Native American Myths. Haven't read any of this, it's new, so yeah. Then we have a book by Jules Verne, read this book by Jack London, White Fang, not read yet. So there we go. A bunch of Jules Verne books. Read most of them, except these two, actually. The major one facing out. This is in Romanian, so yeah, I haven't read this one. And I also haven't read The Mysterious Island. To be honest, I mostly bought this one for the aesthetic because it like looks really old when I was on holiday, so that's bad. Anyway, this bookshelf's pretty empty anyway, so read these. Then I have the third book in the, oh, what's it called again? Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series. So I read the first two, and I bought this third one too, but I haven't read it yet. So honestly, I don't know if I will, because it's just been a while since I read the first two, and I don't know if I'm still like excited about it. So yeah. Then I have two books by Natasha Pulley. One of them I haven't read, which is actually the first one I bought by her, which is The Lost Future of Pepper Harrow. So I bought this quite a while ago on holiday as well. And the thing is, the other book I read by her, I have here, The Bedlam Stacks, found quite disappointing. So I haven't been really hyped to read this one. So once again, this video might be kind of like a declutter video as well, because I feel like I should maybe get rid of this soon. I don't really feel like I'm gonna read it anytime soon, and as I said, didn't really like the other book I read by her, so I don't know if there's a point. Also, I think this might be the second book of a series. So anyway, there's that. And then I have a trilogy, middle grade trilogy. The first one is called The Lost Island of Tamarind. Literally like my favorite middle grade series ever. It's so good. If you haven't read it, read it. And then I have another middle grade book called The Explorer. So those are all read. But on this shelf, I have like 6 books. So I think we're at 39 books right now. But yeah, 6 books on the shelf. So feast your eyes. I have 2 more shelves here, as you've seen. But this one right below has just like big encyclopedias and stuff. I have a fashion encyclopedia, I have a music encyclopedia. I'm not gonna count any of those because I've looked or like read some of all of them, so I'm not gonna count any of those. And on the bottom shelf is also not like novels. So yeah, that's it for this major shelf. So let's move on to my other books. Welcome to my other bookshelf. It's basically under the roof, as you can see. So it's getting increasingly harder to film because I have an attic room, and also it's the summer right now, so like honestly it's so hot up here, but it's fine. I'm not gonna complain. So the first shelf we have here is all middle grade. These are all read. These are like my favorite middle grade series. The Wildwood series is the second book facing out, and then the Land of Stories series. Love this. Golf Girl. I don't know if people know Golf Girl, but this book is really iconic, so comment down below. So yeah, those are all iconic middle grade books, all read. So if we shimmy now this way, excuse the noise. Okay, yeah, so here I basically have all my nonfiction like novels. I have a bunch of other nonfiction books, but they're like big kind of reference books. But these are like all my nonfiction novels. As I said, I think there's gonna be quite a lot because yeah, these are just harder to get through. Don't read them as often, although I'm really interested in them. So let's go from this side. So the first one I have is A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking. Haven't read this yet, so kind of intimidated. Then I have this book. Can you swear on YouTube, guys? I don't know. I think I grew up on YouTube and I'm like, have this idea that you can't swear on YouTube, so I won't. So don't laugh at me. But I have this book. It's like zoology, but like feminist. It was a birthday gift. I haven't read it yet. Then I have this book about fungi and like mushrooms. It's called Entangled Life. Looks super interesting. I haven't read it yet. Then I have this book. This I hope I'm going to be reading soon in a vlog. We'll see. But that's The Invention of Nature. Yeah, haven't read that. Then so some of these books I have read half of them, so I'm not going to count them as unread because even reading half of these books sometimes takes a long time. So for example, this one, The Selfish Gene, by Richard Dawkins. I read like almost half of this, and honestly it took ages because like you really have to like process what he's saying. So yeah, I'm gonna count that. I'm gonna count it because like it feels like I put in effort. Death by Black Hole. I think I've read some of this. This is by Neil deGrasse Tyson. I've read like 2 chapters of this, so I'm not gonna count it. I've started this, but okay, well I've read like 70 pages, so I'm not gonna count it, guys. This is a common trend on this shelf, by the way, that like they're half read. Haven't read either of these. Universe, history book about the Middle Ages. This is a new recent purchase, The Rise and Reign of the Mammals, by my favorite paleontologist. So I haven't read this, it's a pretty new release as well. I read all of these, so those were fine. I literally bought this yesterday at a history museum, so no, I haven't read it. This is Ancient Rome on 5 denarii a day. So yeah, it's like a history book about ancient Rome. So haven't read that. I read all these. Then literally common theme. I have another book that I bought at like a museum or like gift shop, which is a book I bought at Versailles, which is just literally a history of Versailles. So haven't read this, although I'm really interested because Versailles is one of my favorite places to visit in Paris. I've been several times and I just love it. But yeah, I haven't read that, so it's sad. Then I have this book, Life is Simple. It's, I think, about like the progression of science through history, I'm pretty sure. Honestly, I'm a bit unsure about what this book is about. It just sounded cool to me. But yeah, I think it's about some of the giants of science. So I haven't started that. Oh my god, this shelf is looking a little tragic. Then I've read this. This one is about like the science of like having pets, basically. I've read some of this, so I'm not gonna... Am I gonna count it? You know what? I feel like I should count it as unread because actually I haven't read most of it, so no. Yeah, just accept it. And then these two I also haven't read. This is a history of medicine and a history of science. So yeah, these are all the books I've actually read on this shelf. So it's about 50-50 actually, nonfiction novels read to unread. And I have this massive stack, so I'm well over my guess at this point. I mean, look at that. So I'm gonna count these, put the number on the screen, and then we're gonna continue this way with some more fiction. Okay, so next I have this shelf, and this is basically middle grade, but also like random fiction, and like literary fiction, historical fiction, etc. So I think these two are unread. These are like historical fiction. Have The Mountain Sings, and Homegoing. So these are both unread. I think I read most of these. These are like my only contemporary romance books. So I have read those. Yeah, I think all of these, except actually I haven't read The Graveyard Book, which was a gift a while ago. And yeah, I've been wanting to read it, but I just like, yeah, I started it. But I'm not gonna count it because it doesn't feel like, I mean, oh my god, I am so confusing everyone. I'm gonna count it as unread, basically. And then I think all of these are read. So on this shelf, I only have 3 unread books, which is decent. I also have this book here, which I forgot to talk about, but it's just basically a book about the Big Bang Theory, the show, and it's by a reporter. So I'm like over halfway through, so I'm not gonna count this as unread. But yeah, so we have 3 books here, adding that to the tally, and then we're gonna move on to the rest of the shelf. And then we have, I think this is my last like shelf with like fantasy books or historical fiction, or basically anything that's not classics. And I think this shelf has the most unread fantasy books of all my shelves because it's a relatively new shelf and it's like one of the only ones that has room. So anytime I get a new book that's like fantasy or something, I usually add it here. So this one is unread. This is Stone by Finbar Hawkins. Honestly, this was kind of a cover buy, once again. because it looks stunning, and I bought it I think in the fall, and it's kind of giving me the type of book you would read in the fall. The thing is I didn't read it in the fall, and like I'm just not in the mood for it now, so I hope I'll read it next fall. Read these. Then I have this book, which is like historical fiction. This is Six Tudor Queens by Alison Ware. I don't know how to pronounce that. This is the first of a series. It was a gift once again. And yeah, I haven't started this. So, because it's really long and it kind of intimidates me. I don't know why. Because it's like very, very like historical fiction. I feel like I read some historical fiction, but this is really like pushing it, you know, for me. But I will read it. Then I have some fantasy books. So I have Song of Silver Flame Like Night. Bought this a couple months ago. Didn't know it was gonna be a series. And I don't really love to start duologies or series when all the books, or at least like 2 of the books, aren't out yet, because like once I finish this, I'll forget. This isn't like personal to this book. Like once I finish the book, I'll forget a lot of the plot. So I like to binge read series. So this has a second book coming out. I don't remember when, so I haven't started this. Then I have this book, which is The Goblin Emperor by Catherine Addison. This is also, I think, part of a series, but if I'm not mistaken, I don't think you have to read the whole series. Like, I think the second book in the series follows a different character or something. So yeah, I'm not pressed, but just haven't read it. Then I read all of these. And then this is also a really recent buy, which is Stone Blind by Natalie Haynes. Because basically I was waiting for this to be released for sale in the mass commercial paperback, whatever you want to call it. Because I really didn't want to buy those really expensive, like oversized paperbacks. I absolutely hate those. Those always like get released when a book's new. I hate those. So I waited, but I haven't read it. So there. So on this shelf, yeah, as I said, it's the fantasy shelf, like whatever, with the most unread books. It's 5. So yeah, next I just have 2 classics shelves yet. Under this shelf I have like a big shelf of kind of like, they're all like sciencey books, zoology books, stuff, but like they're more like, when I was saying like scientific novel, like that's not really like a thing. I think I just meant like nonfiction, but they're like a novel, like they're like written. But then I have all these nonfiction books that are like more like coffee table books, which are like big and have lots of pictures and stuff like that. So that's what I'm calling those, basically. And I'm not gonna count any of those. Sorry guys, I got a scare. I have a window beside me. I'm not gonna count any of those as unread because I've read most of them and like they're pretty old. So yeah, we have 2 more classic shelves. So let's get to it. Then I have these bottom 2 shelves. It's gonna be hard to show these and talk at the same time because once again they're all the way at the bottom. But basically I have a bunch of classics, and then those are like children's classics. So I'm just gonna put the camera down and discuss the ones that are unread. So basically I have a lot of these Wordsworth black like classics, like the really cheap ones. So I think most of those are unread. I also have why did I hold it like that? Have East of Eden by John Steinbeck, unread. Okay, then as I said, lots of these Wordsworth classics are gonna be unread. Like all the Jane Austen ones, don't hate me guys, like all the Jane Austen ones are unread because the thing is like I love classic literature. All of these are unread. I love classic literature, but Jane Austen is like an author that still like eludes me. Like I find her writing style so hard to get into, although I love like her stories and the romances and everything because I love like any movie adaptations. I find her just writing really hard to get into. I don't know if anyone else has this, but like they also like read a lot of classics. Jane Austen for me is that like author that I just can't. I have her books in hope that I will read them, but I think I've tried to read 3 of them, and yeah, it hasn't worked out. So those are all unread. Oh, then I have War and Peace. unread, 'cause absolutely massive. Oh my god. Three Musketeers. Not read because I recently read The Count of Monte Cristo this year. Honestly, like, I'm still kind of thinking about the fact that I'm not sure it was worth reading. Like, this is that book. It's really thick. I read it this year, but I don't know if it was worth reading. I mean, it's kind of an experience. Like, you kind of just have to do it if you want to. But I don't know. Did I waste my time? Spring Snow. This is another one of those books that I read like half of, so I'm gonna say I read it. Just to be nice to myself. Then I have a bunch of books that I basically studied in English Lit. So I read all of these studied all of them. So those are all read. Pride and Prejudice. Oh my god, again, a Jane Austen book. Look, I think I read some of this, but I never finished it because I don't understand it. Like, I can't get into Jane Austen's writing. So I'm gonna say that's unread. I'm really sad about it. I was gonna try to actually like fully read it this year, but hasn't happened yet. Then I have the sequel to Little Women, Good Wives. Haven't read yet. I was gonna read it this year once again, but I didn't. And then I just have two other books. These are Little Penguin Essentials. Dubliners, James Joyce. Haven't read. And then Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham. This is like a sci-fi classic. These are like plants take over the world. So yeah, but I haven't read those. So I have a huge stack of classics once again. Oh my god. Like all of these. That's so bad. So yeah, I'm gonna tally all of those up. I think it's like 12 or something. And then we have one tiny little shelf that's like all children's classics. So I think there's just gonna be a few on there. But yeah, I'm now surrounded by book stacks. But basically the last little shelf thing I had was like this little kind of display shelf, and this basically has a bunch of children's classics. I think there's about 5 unread, so we'll just take those off. Anne of Green Gables, haven't read that yet. Oh yeah, I'm gonna count this. Sorry, I was like thinking. I have this random French book bought secondhand, honestly for the aesthetic. Don't hate me, it's fine. And then I have a bunch of unread Wordsworth children's classics. Oh, actually Treasure Island. Oh my god, Treasure Island was a struggle. Look, I read like half of this book. I honestly did not understand what was going on. Like fully, as like an 18-year-old reading a children's classic, I did not know what was going on. I was like, fine. I didn't want to give up, so I reread the first half using the audiobook, and then I was like, you know what, no, I still don't like this, so I gave up. But I'm gonna count this as read actually, because you know it was like a pain. Okay, other than that, I have Tales from Arabian Nights, and I have the Jungle Book and the second Jungle Book. Then I have The Wind in the Willows. I haven't read this. Maybe started it, but I'm not gonna count it. Aesop's Fables. Ooh, am I gonna count this? I feel like I read a few of these, so I'm gonna say I read it. And then I have The Little Prince. I actually I have read this. I've read this in French. This is the English version. I read it in French. Unpopular opinion, I don't know what it is. I don't really like this book. I'm not sure. Look, maybe because I did read it in French class, which is why I don't like it. But I read this in French class and I didn't really like it. So, but I'm gonna still count that as read. So actually I have like 5 unread books on this shelf, and I have just realized, so I'm gonna add 5 to my little tally, but I've just realized I don't have any more shelves left, but basically I do keep a bunch of books on my nightstands. However, I think all of those are read, so I will do a quick little up and down of what those look like. But all the books on those nightstands are read. Anyway, so I'm gonna give you guys like an overview of my shelves without the books that I haven't read. I'm gonna count up everything, and I'm gonna give my final thoughts on just the experience and also how many unread books I have. So yeah, basically the nightstands I was talking about, because I feel like I should go through my whole collection. This is all just the Akatar series on this nightstand. So those are all read. Actually read the whole series this year. So those are all read. And then this nightstand, I also have a bunch of fantasy books, to be honest. So these are all read. To be honest, most of these are fantasy books that like I'm not super enthusiastic about or I didn't really love. But I kind of don't know what to do with them yet. I don't know whether I should sell them or give them away. So those are just kind of for display here. But yeah, all of these are red. Okay, ignore the kind of terrible lighting because it's really cloudy. But this is basically an idea of my bookshelf without all the unread books. So this is the first one. And then this is the second bookshelf without all the unread books. Kind of a mess right now. But yeah, that's kind of a major idea, you can see. My room's now a little bit of a mess. I have book stacks everywhere. But that is the second one. Okay, so we have arrived officially at the end of the video. And as kind of expected, I grossly underestimated the amount of unread books I have. I mean, I really should have done better because I kind of acknowledged that I had a lot of unread classics, especially, and nonfiction, but I kind of just felt like it was like way less than it really was. So I counted everything. I double checked with a calculator, and I have 78 unread books. So yeah, that's so much. That's literally like nearly 80. Which is so crazy to me because also I feel like such a hypocrite now because I think I watched a video like on BookTube where the person also had like about 80 books unread, and I just thought it was so much. I was like, oh my god. Actually, wait, no, it was like over 100. But basically this person guessed like 80, and I was like, oh my god, that's so much. And yeah, I have almost 80. I mean, I guess I'm trying to make myself feel better. I think the percentage of unread books, of like how many books I own, is not too bad, but I will say I did want to go book shopping today. And I think making this video was a good deterrent from doing that. So I think I may not do that. Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like the rate at which I buy books and read them is relatively decent, especially fantasy. Classics, yeah, that's a little bit out of hand because there's just so many classics I want to read, like in existence, obviously, just books generally. So I just like read classics. I think I find it easier to justify buying because I'm like, they're classics, like I really want to read all of them. I'm gonna read them in my lifetime, right? So then I end up buying a lot of classics. So that's kind of the reason. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope, I don't know, maybe it made you think about your own bookshelf. Don't go and count the unread books because it'll give you low self-esteem. It'll surprise you. So trigger warning. But yeah, that's the end of the video, and I hope you really enjoyed. My room is a mess now, to be honest. This video took way longer to make than I thought. I had fun doing it, but I do have a lot of books that I need to put back now. So wish me luck. I'm gonna go do that now, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.